How's it going, class? Jordan Miranda here, if you remember me from my previous speeches. Today is June 22nd, and the password is popcorn. Now, first to fight, it was a famous slogan from World War I that described the readiness of the United States Marine Corps. Now, throughout history, the United States military has built an exceptional reputation to become one of the most elite fighting forces that the world has ever seen. The multifaceted avenues in which the military accomplishes its mission is critical to the success of the United States. Now, every generation that has served, past and present, has had to adapt to the ongoing evolution of society's expectation. One of these examples was in 1993, President Bill Clinton reacted to the gays being discriminated on in the military by passing legislation called Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The law prohibited gays from openly serving in the military to prevent this discrimination that was happening. Not only did this legislation take care of the discrimination issue that was ongoing, but it also improved the effectiveness of the United States military. One of the adaptations that the military is going through right now is the integration of women in combat roles. Now, if you didn't know this, on December 3rd, 2015, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter opened all combat roles to women which were previously restricted. Now, despite the advice the Secretary of Defense received about the negative consequences that would happen, he still went through with it anyway. Implications from the implementation of allowing women integrating into combat infantry units has decreased the effectiveness of accomplishing missions. It also has negatively affected the full capabilities of this unit. And lastly, it has increased the number of casualties that these units are taking. Now, one of the effects of allowing women in infantry units is decreasing training standards. What if I told you more than half of female recruits in boot camp could not do 3 pull-ups, which is the male standard for the Marine Corps physical fitness test? In response to the low performance, Colonel Germano, the female Marine Corps boot camp commander, demanded lower standards for female recruits. Understand that these training standards are there to ensure that the average infantryman can perform to accomplish the mission, and by lowering them, you not only affect the unit, but you affect the unit as a whole. Now, prior to the approval of allowing women in combat, the Marine Corps conducted its own study that proved that women were not ready to take on combat roles. According to this study, it took female Marines significantly more time to evacuate casualties. These noticeable differences in time are critical to ensuring that casualties and lives are not lost. Now, I understand that women and men are not physically and anatomically built the same. So how can you expect them to perform under the same fitness and performance tests? Now, in an attempt to level the playing field, each branch of military is compromising to lower standards to allow women to compete with men. By lowering physical and training standards, are we helping or hurting the overall effectiveness of the military? I believe the overwhelming answer is that we are decreasing the effectiveness of the United States military. We shouldn't have to lower any type of standard for the political correctness of equality throughout the military. The potential dangers of war are greater in consequences than a lack of comprehensive gender equality standards. Are we willing to sacrifice gender equality for greater casualties and decreased performance? It doesn't make any sense. Now, women in infantry units create a problem where more accommodations are needed to perform the mission. Male infantry and groundside units are able to deploy whenever, wherever, at a moment's notice. By adding women to these units, it only decreases the mobility of the unit as a whole. Let's just take as a hygiene aspect, for example, you would have to have segregated bathrooms, showers, and living spaces. In order for a normal combat unit, or in a normal combat unit, this is something that can be achieved, but with adding women, this is more of a feat to accomplish. Every aspect of a unit is going to have to be segregated by male and female. And what does that do? That decreases the unit cohesion, which in turn decreases the effectiveness of the unit to accomplish its mission as a whole. Women have suffered higher injury rates due to their mission. Now, according to an article from the Los Angeles Times, one measure showed that the musculoskeletal system injury rate for women was 40.5% compared to men, which was 18.8%. These types of stress put on the body in combat is unbelievable. Between carrying an 80-pound pack while wearing full combat gear and carrying your weapon, the physical demands of combat are crazy. Now, the physical demands of combat can have a strain on your body, but also your brain. Now, the anatomical structure of the male's body is built to endure those types of physical stress. It's not fair to put women in those physical demands on an infantry unit because their bodies aren't meant to accommodate for the amount of physical stress. With a staggering amount of higher injuries from males compared to females, this only decreases the readiness of the unit's effectiveness to fight. Every able body will be needed and tested throughout a deployment. By having almost half your unit injured, your inability to fight only increases your chances of the enemy bringing the fight to you. Women's higher rate of injury only decreases the unit's ability to complete its mission. Now, the overall effect of women taking on combat roles is decreased effectiveness of the United States military. Some of these factors that reduce the effectiveness of the military are decreasing standards, more accommodations, and suffering higher injuries. The United States military is an organization that needs to perform at its highest expectation on demand, and when you integrate women into the fighting force, you're only sacrificing its effectiveness. Now, I see both sides of the issue. Now, women have served in non-combat roles before and have successfully made it. And by no means am I being sexist about this argument. All I've presented was the statistical evidence that has proven the lower effectiveness of units with women in combatant roles. Now, are there some elite women that can deal with the physical and mental demands of combat? I believe so, absolutely. But let's not allow the decision to implement women into combat roles until more further research is done to solve these issues. I just hate to see the United States military sacrifice the greatest fighting force to achieve political correctness of gender equality. Allowing women into combat roles only decreases ability for the Marine Corps to maintain the standard and to be the first to fight. Now, my call to action to you guys is to go out there and sign that online petition that I have provided. This petition will go up to Congress, and we'll have Congress take the fight to the government. Thank you very much.